course, there's lots of posts going on out. It's election time. Early voting has already begun, and you can get out and early vote at the farm, the bureau at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, it's at the. It's actually at the. It's actually at the Home and Garden building on the fairgrounds.
That's right.
Yeah. So November 3rd, 4th, and today the 5th is the last day for that absentee in-person no excuse, otherwise known as early voting. That's the official term is absentee in-person no excuse. That means you for any reason you can come and vote absentee today. But in layman's terms, it's early voting.
Yeah.
And that's at the Home and Garden building, and it's going to go from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. today. So if you need to get out and vote, if you're going to be busy on Tuesday, you can't make it Tuesday, or if you just want to, for whatever reason you want to come out today, it's available to you. Come out from till 4 p.m. And let me tell you something. We've already had 1,704 people vote in Meade County.
Got a lot more to vote.
And that's just in the 2 days. Plus, that includes the mail-in ballots that are for our servicemen and things, and people who are out of town that can't make it back to vote. All in 1,704 people so far. It's 7.1%. So far, it kind of indicates that it feels like it's going to be a big election turnout. So good. I mean, we want to get more and more people to come out and vote. We want you to come out and take part in the process.
There'll be a lot of people hopefully come out today, especially being a Saturday. But, I would honestly hope that there's more than 1,500 and honestly more than 3,000 like we saw in the primary. It's a big election. There's a lot to vote on. There's a Supreme Court seat. There is the 2 amendments to the Constitution, and then there's also the local campaign. So, I got a lot to say about that, but I'm going to try to keep it to what we're going to stand on.
We're going to try to keep it brief today, right?
Yep.
So we're all going to be on for about 30 minutes or so today, guys. But we wanted to just get you an update. We didn't have a call on Thursday. We didn't have a show on Thursday, and that's different things for the election, different things in lives, and things that are kind of like come on us. But we wanted to make sure that we did reach out today and talk about a few things. So. One thing I want to talk about is, I've been, for the first time ever, I've touted pulling the straight ticket. And there's a lot of people have asked me, hey, well, why do we pull the straight ticket and things? And I've always said it because you're going to send a message. You're going to send a message all the way to Washington, D.C. And it's absolutely true. And the reason is because we're so tired of what the Democratic Party has offered us. They always told us, hey, trust us. We're going to, we're the party of the people and things. And over and over and over again, they go into Frankfurt or Washington or what have you, and they don't represent our values. They always go to the party. They become beholden to their party. And
unlike others who say that they're one way and then they're not, but we call a lot of people call them rhinos or dinos or whatever. Right? Well, I'm not going to go there, but I just if you believe in the values that your party holds, then there is no option to go with the other way. I mean, one party is pro-life, the other is not pro-life. I'm sorry, I can make a stance on that, and therefore I'm going to vote and support anyone who also adopts and sticks with the party lines. So to me, that's important. But voting is different for everyone, and it should be. There is a lot of reason to vote for different people, but I support the party, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, and it does send a message. It's not just the parties are counting these numbers and things. What it says is, you are upset enough with the status quo, the things that the Democratic Party are giving you, that you're not even going to consider their candidates until they change their platform, until they change their ways, the things that they support. And if they're not going to, then you're not going to consider them, and then you're going to vote straight Republican ticket. And that's what we're asking for. We're not asking for, to just take a number and say, oh, there it is. And that it's not just a number. It's you speaking out loud to everyone and tell people you're just upset, you're mad with what's going on, and you want things to change. Again, I've never asked anybody to do that before this election, and I'm not going to, and I don't know if I will ever again. But this election, I think that's important that we as Republicans, those who are Republican that just haven't changed their registration yet, those who believe in those values, that we send that message. That's what we're asking for. And in so doing, we're going to say, we're going to show that strength in numbers, because what happens is, for years we've always conceded. We've always said, "Oh, well, we're going to go after." We stand hard on abortion. I was just talking to someone this morning. We stand hard on abortion, and man, we stand together, right? But when it comes down to our fiscal policies and things like that, we get we kind of like we always give in. We always give a little bit more, and next thing you know, we've gone down a trail where we're spending so much money.
Well, listen, I'll be honest with you. In history, though, straight party ticket has benefited the Democrats. They voted straight party more often than our own Republicans. And Republicans have gotten split up until recent elections where obviously there's a question of voter integrity, all these other things. Yeah. I mean, we can get into genres of conversations about that. But regardless, a lot of states, and to include Kentucky, have done a lot in voter registration, clearing the rolls. Obviously, you show your ID when you go to register, verify who you are. That's important, right? You're not a person that's deceased and voting. But to that point, there's a lot in our party that believe in our values that are really tired of doing the same old, and watching the Democratic Party just run amok under that umbrella of, oh, we all must fall in line. So it's time for the Republicans to fall in line. Make a stance and vote with the straight party ticket and stop the nonsense. Because I'm telling you right now, the Democratic Party is not representing our interests nationally, and they're not going to do it locally. They are grandstanders. They want the power, and it's not about power. It's about the people. And that's why I'm where I'm at in the whole voting process this year. I helped, I jumped on board with Troy Koch, regardless of other influences in this county. I don't care what they have to say, and they can use their position to influence you all day long. But I'm telling you, go look at Troy's record, go look at his experience. The person that is in the office right now, you can say he does great things. You can say he's been an active part, but he is taking credit for everything that was already predetermined before him, and he's just managing. He is not leading anything in this county, and we need a leader.
Yeah, and he was, people might have forgotten that he was rejected as senator, right?
Yeah, he is a politician. He ran for an office. He
ran for senator against Steve Meredith and lost.
And I'm tired of the misinformation about stuff. You do this country boy stuff where you're sitting out on your back porch and you're looking out across the way, and because you have an influential position in the county, and then you want to try to appeal to the voters. That's great marketing. I appreciate you, but I'm sorry, you're misrepresenting the actual people in their experience. There's a lot of things that have been done, and we know where that influence comes from. It's just going to be there. We're not going to change it. Maybe someday we will change it. Who knows?
So, while we're here, I mean, the election's coming up on November 8th. People have already voted. A lot of people have already voted. We need every Republican to get out and vote on November 8th. If you haven't voted yet, vote. I know that Troy's out knocking doors right now.
He is.
He is not giving up on anything. He thinks that he's not assuming that he's won anything.
Not at all.
He thinks, and it's not just because
he's going to work that hard. He's going to work that hard in office too.
As many people as he possibly can. He's trying to get to every door he possibly can. And he and his team are out right now. They are door knocking. It's here it is. It's storms and rains coming, but they're still out.
Yep.
They're still out. They're not out because he wants to just win a race. He's out because he wants to make sure that when he wins, he's representing every person in Meade County.
Your voice matters. And two, I'll tell you this right now. If you did not get to see him, if he knocked on your door and he left you a door hanger, there's a phone number on there. Call him. He will listen to you, and he wants to talk to you. He not only wants to talk to you now up until the election, not to just get your vote, but he also wants to talk to you because he wants to understand what you need, what your needs are for the county, so that the office is ran with your needs in mind, not personal interests or any other types of interests that could come. And not to take away from anything that anybody's doing right now, I think that the county has made great strides at resourcing funds and moving those funds into places where we need them, extending water lines. I mean, you've heard a lot from all of the magistrates, but a lot of that work was already predetermined. That work was already in motion under different leadership. And this is where I go with Troy Koch all the time, and I'll say this over and over again. You can hear contemplation or disbelief, but no one should ever take credit for somebody else's work and then blame others when it doesn't turn out the way they like it. That's lack of involved leadership. Anytime you see somebody taking credit and then blaming others when something doesn't go right, that's lack of involved leadership. So you want to say that somebody's there and they're involved. I promise you that you can tell by their personalities whether they're involved or not. So just keep that in mind when you go to the polls and you vote. That's not what you're getting when you vote Troy Koch. Now, listen, there's a lot of other elections going on. Gabe Chapman for PVA is also another one. There has been a lot of controversy in the conversation about, why should we have a PVA run? Well, it's been a long-standing position. It is a nonpartisan position once you get elected, but you have to run partisanly to get in the office. There's a Democratic side, and then there's a Republican side. I will tell you that I like the idea of having a math teacher running the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's very well known in the community. He's known in the schools. Everywhere I go, I see kids walking up to him, and even grown-ups that have graduated from Meade County that have had his tutelage. And, he cares. He's a solid listener. But more importantly, if you hear his message and you talk to him, he's also wanting to educate the people because there are rights and benefits that come out of the PVA office
that aren't shared. I mean, there's no place. I mean, how would you know about some of the veterans' benefits? If you're a veteran, that you get a discounted rate on your taxes, on your property taxes. But
even in certain situations, there's also tax benefits, regardless of veteran. But,
yeah, there's a lot of different things that go into that office that are a lot of different benefits that are into that office that we don't really hear about. It's not. I'm not blaming Miss Richardson. I'm not.
No.
She's ran the PVA, best, with the best of her ability, and I believe that she's a very good person and a very
I have no
have a lot of integrity.
No,
I think she has a lot of integrity. So we're not what it is. We do feel it's time for a change.
Yeah.
And we had heard that she was going to retire.
That's right.
Right. And so we had many people that said, hey, well, it's time for us to run.
And we need to stop appointing people to office. We need to elect people to office. And I don't want to see somebody get elected to office, drop retirement, and then have somebody appointed in the office. And just because they're appointed, nobody wants to run against them. Well, and I think that's what Gabe and, Adam Fouché, they both took the test. They didn't know they were going to end up running against each other. They both passed the test, and then they ran in a primary. Here we go. But you're electing somebody to the office and not out of just, okay, well, this person's always been there. We've got a lot of ballots on the ticket that nobody's running up against them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what happens over and over again over time, and until somebody stands up and says, well, I want to run for that office. And then it's a challenge, right?
And as a Republican Party, representing the Republican Party here in Meade County, we are, we're working hard to identify good candidates. And we don't want. I don't want to just put somebody out there and just run them.
No.
Just because.
Hey, speaking of that,
make things worse. Let me finish. That'll make things worse in the end. I want to find good candidates that want to do the job, and then we can get behind them and run them. That's what we have in Gabe Chapman. That's what we have in Susan Masterson. That's what we have in Troy Koch. That's what we have in
Nancy
Tate, Sidney Durham, J.J. Scarborough, and Sheriff Wimpy. Amongst others. And I'm sure I've missed, Tom Goddard, Gary Chapman, Steve Wardrop, Trey Webb, I'm sure I'll miss some others, but it's just a matter of these people care about Meade County. I don't care. You can't tell me there's somebody that cares more about Meade County than that group
Let me say something else about that note right there. You don't have to live here your whole life to care about Meade County.
No, as a matter of fact, most people don't live in. Most people in Meade County did not grow up, or they may have grown up here, but they didn't live here. They weren't born here, right? There's very few people actually nowadays that's actually born in Meade County.
When only about 3% of the people that actually show up to vote on a regular basis, those are the people who honestly care about Meade County. They're either running for office or they're voting for officers in the offices. So Meade Countyans, if you care about Meade County, then everybody show up and vote.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Because otherwise, just living here, it does make it home, but there's other responsibilities, civic responsibilities in the community, and that's getting out and vote or participating in the process. And if you don't want to participate in the process, that's okay too. There's a lot of people that are like that. There's nothing wrong with it. But don't go out and say that you can't care about Meade County if you haven't lived here your whole life. That's not a true statement.
No, and it doesn't mean that if you weren't born in Meade County, that you can't be in leadership, right? What is that? Right. What is that?
Mm-hmm. Right. In fact, sometimes an outside perspective can bring a whole new perspective, because I'll tell you, I have an outside perspective of Meade County, and I've seen a lot of counties just like Meade County get gobbled up by big industry. Mm-hmm. I've seen them gobbled up, chewed up, and spit out,
and then none of us want that.
And then you know what they're left with? They're left with a drug problem, a recidivism problem, and not to say that we don't already have that, but we have so many civic groups that are working with pennies to help save families in Meade County.
That's right.
And we honestly need strong leadership that's going to help that problem, along with the controlled conservative growth of the county, so that we don't turn up like many of these places that I know I've seen. I know that Troy's seen. I know that our leaders that are our magistrates have seen themselves, because even like Tom Goddard's a former military guy. He came into the office for the same reasons. He cares about what happens to Meade County.
He wants to serve people.
That's it.
I mean, the first thing you have to be is a servant.
That's right.
Right. We learned that in church. We learned that in school, and it's the same for politics. The best leaders are the ones that are servants first.
That's right.
They're willing to go out and do the things that need to be done. They're willing to take on the challenges and make hard decisions. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you this. I mean, the Republicans. They don't give. I'll tell you one thing else I like about the Republican Party, and one reason I'm proud of our candidates and our officers is they don't put any kind of litmus tests for working in their office other than, can you do the job?
Yep.
They don't care if you're Judy Jordan, good example. She didn't fire anybody. She nobody in that office has to be Republican or Democrat, right? They just need to come in and do the job. That's why you have a Democrat working in that office that's running, and you have a Republican working in that office that's running for the office. I think that.
But when you do,
their background and their philosophies are different, and I think Susan Mastron is by far the better candidate. She's been in the leadership role. She's done. Not just knows all the processes of the but
the relationships that go with the external communications,
the relationships. She understands the job. She's worked in leadership. She's Judy's backup, and she does a really, really good job. And I think that that's going to go. That's going to show her as the best candidate. It's not saying that any other candidate that's not a Republican is not doesn't care. It's just that it doesn't make them the best candidate just because they're from Meade County, or just because they're it basically comes down to vote for me because I'm a Democrat. And it's like, well, that has to go by.
So did you watch any of the radio or listen to the radio? I'm sorry, watch. Did you listen to the radio participation this week? Troy, I believe.
I did.
Leslie was on there. I picked up a lot on a couple of different things that were in there. I'm not going to badmouth anything, but I think the WMMG did a great job hosting.
I think so. I think Alex over at WMMG does an excellent job. Very unbiased coverage. Tried to be fair. I did pick up that there was quite a few more questions taken by. It sounded like more questions were taken by Troy than by Leslie, but I don't know what the format was and what they worked out before. I think that both did a pretty good job. But I think that overall, I think that.
Well, what I didn't like is, I know, and he did it. I mean, he took credit for a lot of stuff that had happened, but most of that stuff was already on a train tracks and headed down the tracks.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
so
that stuff didn't happen in the last 2 years.
In fact, today, the dedication today, I know that Gary Chapman's going to set it straight, but that building for the EMS, it has Jerry Lynn's name on that, not Leslie Stith's.
Right.
So that didn't come from Leslie Stith being in the seat. And
he claimed that
I've done a lot of good things for me.
He claimed he fixed the EMS, and that was all that was being worked on. They were getting new buildings. They were getting new equipment. That didn't happen in the last.
And here's what's going to happen, right?
It didn't start in the last 2 years. It made it completed in the last 2 years, but it didn't start.
So here's what's going to happen, right? Because we know why Leslie Stith got all the magistrates to vote for the stuff. By the way, Leslie Stith was also on the original lawsuit that stopped the granary from getting going because the lawsuit held all that up. And then he removed himself from the lawsuit so he could be appointed to the office. Now that he's appointed to the office, guess what he does? He gets all the magistrates together and say, hey, if we could get this all to go away, we can start working on the granary again. And so what did we do? And I believe Chad even wrote an article about 150,000 reasons why, and he blamed the magistrates, but yet it was Leslie Stith who took them all behind closed doors and said, yeah, but if we do this, we're not admitting guilt, but we can pay the attorney's fees. Oh, by the way, his attorney's one of the attorneys that got fees paid, right?
I don't know if he was or not.
You can go look at court records.
The list, but you can go look at the court records and find that out.
So speculatory, right? All right. Regardless, they pay it. So Leslie Stith is going to be on the forefront of the granary. Hold on. He's him and the great work of Billy Sipes, and I know that Gary Chapman, and then from the Mead and the Industrial Board,
David Pace.
Yeah, David Pace is also, and they've been working with Ryan Quarles and stuff, and that's okay. I would give Leslie Stith the credit. It was a great political move. We put the case to bed, the same one he was part of, and now we can start working toward the granary. Now it's in the engineering process. I think Troy's even educated about it. You heard him on the radio.
Yeah, Troy the other day said, it looks like there's probably going to be a shortfall financially, but he's committed to finding the money, whether that's through state or federal dollars, and trying to work through to make sure that it happens, because it's important for the region, not just Meade County, but for the entire region.
That's right. But to my point, when Troy finally gets in office, mind my words, the local paper will probably write an article about how that got done because of Leslie Stith, not Troy Koch. And that's fine. But don't take credit for something that you didn't do. And I promise you, even if that mill comes through, Troy is not going to take all the credit. He's probably going to point in the right direction and give credit where credit's due. And that's the difference between the two candidates. Troy is a public servant, not a grandstander. So that's what I got to say. That's what I said. I said it right here. You heard it. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but go vote Troy Koch. That's who we need in office. Anyway, hey, moving on. Let me
answer one more thing, because on the radio show the other day when Leslie Stith was on, he said, I don't know how my name got on that lawsuit. All I know is I paid some money in.
Yeah. How do you? No, that's not possible. I'm sorry, folks. You cannot say I didn't even know how my name got on. That exactly my point. How are you going to deny something? That is like cowardice. Like, own it. Own it. You're not a leader. I'm sorry. I can't support you when you sit here. I don't know. That's not going to fly in front of a judge. You were part of it. You had to withdraw from it to even get appointed by the governor. Exactly my point. Prosecution rests.
Yeah, the governor actually appointed him while he was on the lawsuit, which was kind of a strange thing. We were all like, oh my gosh, he's suing the fiscal court, and now he's leading fiscal court.
Yeah,
that's kind of an odd thing.
And then, of course, the governor's office backtracked and said, you got to pull out. And, of course, he did.
Yeah. So it's, there was some bad optics there, and but let's, like I said, let's move on. Where are we going next? So
at the end of the day, we're going to probably wrap up the show. I don't want to leave it on a negative note, but you have some tough choices to make as voters. You're going out there to do it. You know, all of this work that we did here, putting the podcast studio together, all of the work throughout the election and the hard work that the candidates have been doing out there, knocking on doors. And I mean, Mark, you know, we've been doing a lot of work too. I mean, there's a whole process when you go into voting, and more than just being a voter, but also if you get involved in the election cycle, that's a lot of work. These candidates put up time and money and everything else.
And what people don't realize is that the reason you get bombarded with information is because every candidate is trying to get their message out of why they are the right person for the job. And it's in a lot of cases, they're trying to combat the negative that's going around. Because you know what we notice is that while there's advertising, right? That's like, you know, very positive and such. There's a lot of, you know, we hear a lot of stories about people being misinformed as people go door to door and things with, you know, there's, you know, I heard the other day somebody said that you know, somebody told us that Leslie said something to some of the workers, like, you're going to have to treat him like you're in the military. You're going to have to salute him.
That's not true.
It's like, oh my gosh. I mean,
if you've met Troy Koch, you wouldn't even know he was in the military.
He was, other than his discipline to be able to get the job done, there's nothing. I mean, he's one of the greatest people I've met. In
super user friendly,
and you know, he's straightforward. He never you know, like while you're trying to if you're trying to convince him or give him, you know, maybe give him advice or talk to him about things, you know, he tells you straightforward, thank you for the advice, but you know, this is how I see it and this is where I'm going to go with it. He doesn't leave you hanging there and make you feel like you're going to like he's going to. He doesn't give you. He's not a yes man at all. He's like, he tells you, hey, this is what you know, this is how I think we should go with it, and this is where we're going to go. But I appreciate where you're coming from, but you know, I don't think we need to go down that trail. And he works really hard to protect the integrity of his campaign. You know, and there's a lot of things that you know we ask, you know, hey, should we talk about this or talk about that? And you know, and he'll say, no, let's we don't want to get into all that, and that's you know, that's fine. So what we're trying to do with this show here is we're trying to inform you.
I did go a little bit off the deep end today, but you know, for real reasons, because I just think that it's not fair to miscommunicate yourself and misrepresent yourself. And that's one thing that I know that we haven't seen Troy do. And you just got to get to know Troy. And I would say pick up the phone and call him and have a conversation.
Yeah. He's wide open. He is wide open for everyone. So,
there was another talking point I was going to throw in. I want to make sure that you all know, regardless of our feelings or how we communicate what we're trying to send as far as messaging here, whomever gets elected into the offices, we are going to support our elected official, and we are going to support our elections.
We're going to continue to work in this community. If there's something that we can do to help, we're here. We're here for Meade County. We're not here for the Republican Party. We're here for Meade County.
That's right.
And you know, yes, I represent the Meade County Republican Party. I do. But you know, there's a reason that we put our name. We put Meade County first on our name. We don't say Republican Party of. We say Meade County Republican Party. And the reason we do that is because we want Meade County to be first, and we want people to know that. So. Thank you guys for all the time that you give us. We're not going to stop this podcast. We're going to continue to go into the future. We're actually going to try to refine it and do some more work. And we'll get back to just doing some standard information and just being more informative going forward. I do want to give a shout out to the Meade County Green Wave. They won last night in their first playoff game for this year. I believe the score was 41-34. I believe is what it was. I didn't get to go out to a game this year at all. It bums me because we usually try to go every.
Honestly, this whole election season is it's been a lot of work.
Been a lot of work.
Been a lot of work. But
thank you all for all the time. Thank you all for your attention, and thank you guys for get out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. Everybody needs to vote. Make your voices heard. And of course, I'm always going to ask you, vote Republican.
Yeah, same. Hey guys, thanks for your time. It's been a wonderful day. I know, listen, A lot of things were said today, but at the end of the day, it's your conscience. When you walk into the booth, you're all by yourself, and it's just your vote. So you think about who you want running our county, how the money's being spent. It's your taxpayer dollars. It's my taxpayer dollars. And the people that we elect to office have to do it conscientiously. And I think you've heard all you needed to hear from us. Good luck. Go vote.
Good night, everybody. Or good day, everybody. Not used to doing this during the morning.